Welcome to Thieves' Cant, a tabletop gaming podcast with your hosts, Jeremy Shane and Chris White.
Welcome in, welcome back. It is Thieves' Cant, Tuesday, January 13th. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
Glad to have you along as always. Chris, how's it going?
It's going great. It's Tuesday.
Monday is behind us. The hard part's over, right?
Yeah. Getting started. That first step.
Getting started often is the hardest part.
That's right.
Right? But now we're in the groove.
Now we're in it.
And today, we get weird with some Unearthed Obscura. Before that, though, I want to remind you to subscribe at thievescantcast. Email thievescantcast@gmail.com. Of course, leave that generous, glowing 5-star review.
Yeah, get out the thesaurus and find new words to describe how much you love Thieves' Cant.
Yes. All right, so today, Unearthed Obscura. If this is your first time hearing Unearthed Obscura, this is a segment in which we pluck from the annals of history some bit of weirdness, some oddity, some real-world strangeness that we find application for in our games that might fit into your tabletop RPG. That's what it's all about. Does that pretty much sum it up, Chris?
Some inspiration. Get the juices flowing.
All right. Here come the juices. It's Unearthed Obscura. Chris, today I want to tell you the story of the Green Children of Woolpit.
I am unfamiliar with this story.
Well, the story of the Green Children of Woolpit is said to take place during the reign of King Stephen in the middle of the 12th century. This is a pretty chaotic period in English history called the Anarchy. So Woolpit itself is an old village in Suffolk, and its name comes from the Old English wolf pit, meaning literally wolf pit. Like...
Okay.
I know that's hard to believe.
That looks, I got to tell you all, that looks way better on paper than it did hearing it. Wolf pit, meaning wolf pit.
It's different spellings. So these pits, actual pits dug to trap wolves. Like, hey, leave my flock alone, right? Or I'm going to dig a pit.
Okay.
And you fall in it. All right. So they dig the pits, trap wolves, and it was near one of these pits sometime around 1150 that villagers reportedly discovered 2 young children. Both had green-colored skin, behaved anxiously, and spoke a language no one recognized, which the locals described as gibberish.
These kids were green? All right, I'm in.
Contemporary accounts, particularly those by the chronicler Ralph of Coggeshall, say the children were taken to the nearby manor of Sir Richard de Calne. Sir Richard tried to feed them, but for days they refused anything that they were offered. And eventually they found some raw green beans growing in his garden, ate them eagerly, straight up from the ground. So the kids are believed to have lived with Sir Richard for several years thereafter. And during that time, they were gradually introduced to ordinary food. And according to the writers of the era, this shift in diet caused their skin tone to kind of become less green over time. The green faded out. As they settled in, the kids also learned to speak English. And once they were able to communicate clearly, of course, now they're asked where they came from and why their skin had once been green. The children said they came from a place called the land of St. Martin, a country where St. Martin was especially revered and where they had been born. Now, St. Martin, we should pause here.
Okay.
These aren't on the notes, but let's talk a little about St. Martin. This is what I do know.
Okay.
He was a Roman soldier, lived in like 3rd or 4th century.
Okay.
And his most famous deed is cutting his cloak in half to give to a freezing beggar. And the beggar, turns out it's Christ in disguise.
All right.
Okay, so that's kind of the big story of St. Martin.
Nothing, was it a green cloak?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay, so he's just really popular.
Yeah, we could pretend it was a green cloak.
Okay.
That would certainly add to the flavor, right?
Okay.
But
all right.
he is, I mean, you do kind of see that there's, with the cutting of the cloak, I mean, there's like this symbol of like division, right?
Right.
Of like two sides, which is kind of interesting.
Okay. All right.
So back to the kids. When asked how they arrived in England, they claimed that they didn't really know. They recalled tending their father's flocks when they heard a loud ringing sound. And they said it was like church bells. While listening, they felt disoriented, almost entranced, and suddenly found themselves standing among the English villagers in the fields. They went on to explain that the sun in their homeland, the sun never truly rose, and instead everything existed in a kind of permanent twilight. Beyond their land, they said, was a bright, luminous country separated from theirs by a great river. Well, not long after sharing this account, Sir Richard arranged for the children to be baptized at a local church. The boy, tragically, fell ill shortly afterward. He died from causes that were never identified. The girl survived. She came to be known as Agnes. She worked for Sir Richard for many years and later married a man named Richard Barr. He was the Archdeacon of Ely. And some records suggest that they had at least one child. But that's where it ends. So who exactly were the Green Children of Woolpit? One of the most widely accepted explanations is that they were the children of Flemish immigrants. During this period, Flemish settlers in England were persecuted, displaced, and in some cases killed. So it could be that the children were orphaned and lost and wandered until they reached Woolpit, speaking only Flemish, which would have sounded like gibberish to the villagers.
Well, that does leave one big question, though.
What's that?
I noticed most Flemish these days aren't green.
Right.
That's kind of a big one.
Well, if they were lost and wandering for long enough, well, that'd have to be an awful long time to eat so much green that you turn green, right?
Out there eating wild pea pods.
Yeah, I don't know. As for that green skin and the explanation behind it, that might have been the result of severe malnutrition, sometimes referred to historically as green sickness. It's a theory that fits neatly with the observation that their complexion returned to normal once they began eating a proper diet under Sir Richard's care.
Yeah, but that's less fun.
That is way less fun, and certainly not an interesting take for your tabletop RPG. So, what are you thinking?
I think the first thing that my mind goes to, this has got Feywild written all over it.
Yeah,
they're like the children of the wild. You know, these little vegan children running around, being all green and
gluten-free.
Who is the the Jolly Green Giant? Who is it? Sprout? Is that his little like?
I forgot he had a little sidekick.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
like his Scrappy Doo.
Yeah, okay,
that's what they are.
But yeah, certainly something from the Fae. I mean, their story of, we come from a place of twilight. Mm-hmm. We can see a distant shining land that we can't reach because there's a huge river.
Yeah,
that cuts us off from it. That suggests like another dimension,
almost
another plane.
Yeah,
right?
It's like another realm or something.
Yeah. And then, of course, I mean, they were found near the wolf pit. So it's like, I want to think that they emerged from the wolf pit. So then it kind of makes me wonder, how could we tie in, or can we tie in somehow, the wolves?
Or were they wolves?
Oh, were the children wolves?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't consider that.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot to this. I feel like stories like this, when you hear them, is where the whole fantasy genre sort of originates from, right? I mean, how many tropes are you hitting with this story? You have the religious aspect,
sure,
right? And and you see that in fantasy. The gods did this, and this curse was placed on this land. They were in this realm, and you almost have this idea of these interdimensional travelers that's brought here. These children that are out of place and out of time.
The children of the forest.
The children of the forest. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. Well, that fae aspect, sprites and elves and all those legends It feels like there's just a lot of this baked into it, but it's also, there's this great mystery. What is this? Who are they?
Yeah. Fairy tale stories that are notorious for like kidnapped children, right? These could be children that were kidnapped like centuries earlier.
Oh yeah.
And now have somehow returned. Mm-hmm. And of course their time in the Fae has changed them, the language that they speak, the color of their skin, their memories, all of that. So it could just simply be children returning from the past.
Yeah, I feel like, when I listen to this doesn't feel like the sort of thing you base a campaign around, but instead it feels like the sort of thing where you walk into this village and it's like, have you heard of the Green Children of Woolpit? Something that would just make a standard location come alive.
Yeah. And base a campaign around. Yeah. I don't know. I would say certainly it could seed larger implications,
sure,
like way down the line.
Yeah.
Like this could be like some early introductory stuff that just hints at where things could eventually lead to.
Right.
Eventually, yeah, we're going to the Fae. We're going to the other side. We're going to go to this twilight realm where something is amiss. You mentioned that it checks a lot of boxes, the religious aspect being one of them. I think that would be a cool area to really delve into. If you wanted to flesh this out into a scenario or a full adventure of some kind, finding more of the details about St. Martin and just, like how could we twist some of that for a cool adventure seed?
Yeah, and with the symbolism of the dividing of the cloak, that's really cool, and incorporating that. I kind of feel like this is, to me, before Forgotten Realms was saturated with them, was sort of how the, tieflings felt.
Yeah? How so?
Sort of when they were introduced, like in the prime, they would have been like we found these children with horns and hooves and tails. It's like, what are they? What is this? Now it's commonplace. They feel as common as humans almost. But yeah, in that time, it sort of had that same vibe. It's a great mystery, and it's obviously something touched from another place. It's this undeniable mystery, that points to something beyond the normal. And a lot of it depends on your world too. If your setting's high magic and there's planar travel all over the place, nobody's going to be that impressed by this. But in a low magic setting where it's primarily, just humans, this would be a big deal, a great way to introduce those aspects to your game.
It is a fun thought exercise to work through. What are your thoughts? How would you use the Green Children of Woolpit as inspiration in your game? If you've got thoughts, we would love to hear them as always. So you can drop those in the comments. You can email thievescantcast@gmail.com.
I'd like to hear everybody's theory about how to use these.
Yeah, let us know. And I think that'll do it for this edition of Unearthed Obscura and this episode of Thieves Cant. Chris, tomorrow we are back, and we are returning to the Forge of Creation.
Going to roll some dice.
Get your D100 ready.
Right.
We're going to roll up sort of a campaign framework tomorrow in the Forge of Creation using the Tome of Adventure Design. So we look forward to that. Please join us tomorrow. Until then, enjoy some gaming. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
It's been Thieves Cant. So long.
Thank you for listening to Thieves Cant. Email thievescantcast@gmail.com.